Alright, the purpose of this video clip is to help you with some of the aspects that groups tend to battle with, specifically regarding the internal analysis, point 2, point 4, point 2 of your BDAL document. And what I've done is I've put together 4 slides that I believe will help you to integrate and see the organization, the NGO, as a system, and then help to pull together the various aspects that you need to analyze and that you need to write your business plan on. So the first slide there that I want to draw your attention to is one that you see a greyish block there. That's just another sketch, a conceptualization of an organization, ladies and gentlemen. There are various. This one is one that I have included in my book. So I thought it's probably easier if I just use the same one as opposed to drawing a different one. But the first point there is, if you look at internal environmental analysis, you have a variety of components. You have strategic intention, financial perspective, marketing, production, human resource perspective, administration and management and leadership perspective. And I find it helpful if you can pull all of those various components together in a drawing. I refer to it as the organizational system and the transactional cycle. And I'm going to provide an explanation of that in the hope that this will help you to better understand this part of the BDAL. Strategic intention, if we look at the figure, the grey block, the strategic intention really falls in the top half of that block there, where you see I talk about design of structure and flows, the culture, the worldview, the leadership and the outputs, because that ultimately constitutes the intention of the organization. What is it that the organization wants to do? It's not behavioral, it's not implementation, it's just a plan, it's just concept. And there you need to be specific in terms of the approach, the objectives and the plans. The second part would be the marketing objective. Now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that I have a drawing there with people that's demanding something. The important thing when it comes to the marketing perspective of the BDAL is that it is made up, it has a dual or two sides to it. The one is the actual beneficiaries. People that are poverty stricken, for instance, people that require daycare for their kids, people that needs to be educated in terms of maths, literacy, or help to read better, any sort of activity of the NGO, a service that the NGO has provided. That, ladies and gentlemen, refers to the beneficiaries being the market. They're the recipients of that service. But more importantly is you also have a marketing function regarding the NGO marketing itself to possible donors, funders, whether that's a governmental fund, whether that's private businesses, larger corporations that want to contribute funds in terms of their social responsibility. You have to market the NGO to those organizations, otherwise they will not know about you. If you look at the third slide, you'll see there that I talk about the so-called dominant attribute. So what is it that you're offering your beneficiaries, and what is it that you're offering in return to the donors, the potential donors that you will have? You will see that I refer there to something like variety and range. Is there a variety and a range of services that you offer? Is that what you're offering quite price sensitive, so you're making things available cheaper to your beneficiaries? Is it a question of quality, so you want to provide education, you maybe want to provide adult classes in literacy? Are you going to focus on quality? Is it a question of convenience, setting up a daycare center in an area which is close to people's homes that might not have transport to take their kids somewhere else? What is the dominant attribute? What is it that you are offering your beneficiaries? And you can take that offering to a local funder or an international funder, a donor, and say, this is what we're going to offer that pocket in the community in terms of needs, and we need you to help us with that. So that's really how those three components, the organization, what it is that I'm offering, and the demand of the beneficiaries, how that fits together. Then we'll talk about the fourth one, the production operations. Here what you need to do is you need to look at the bottom part of that grey block. Remember that I said the top part is the intentional part. The bottom part will be the actual infrastructure of the organization. We talk there about structure, processes and activities, which is the behavioral part of the organization. That's where they do, and what you need to establish there in terms of the BDAL is whether they have proper production or operations plans in place. How cost effective is this? How well is it run and managed, and in other words, and where are the strong and the weak points? Because remember, you need to have a platform upon which you're now going to implement this intent of the organization. So that makes the bottom part of that square block that you're looking at there very, very important. Then to look at the human resource perspective and the administrative perspective and the management and leader perspective, which is the last three, it's necessary for you to go to the fourth slide, and you'll see I inserted some colorful pictures there, which in essence refers to the four generic resources that all NGOs has to deal with. The one would be the people component. You need people to perform certain jobs, certain responsibilities, whether those are full-time employed by the NGO or whether it's people that maybe on a voluntary basis offer some of their services, an accountant in the area that's willing to donate 2 or 3 hours per month of his or her time to that specific NGO. You need to have an infrastructure, the second picture there. Where are the offices situated? Is there somebody working from home or out of the boot of their car, or do they actually have a nice facility somewhere, or just a facility? It doesn't need to be nice. The financial management comes in there very, very strongly, and it being one of the four resources, again, ladies and gentlemen, I have to reiterate, if you look at the financial perspective, please, if it's difficult to get financials from the NGO, don't tell us on the day of the presentation, but there was no financial statements available and therefore we didn't look at that, or we didn't do a cost benefit. No. If you have to work on scenarios, if you have to work on forecasts, if you have to base your financial forecast on assumptions, you do that. You state the assumptions, but you have to have a financial component included, and that refers to the third resource there. And then the last one would be information. How much information does this NGO have of the beneficiaries, of how big the market is, of possible donors, be that private or public sector? So that really covers the human resource perspective, and then also that administrative perspective, the information management. Do they have the information? How effective and efficient is that information and administration process? Do they have modern technology or any technology of any kind? We often find that NGOs are run by a single individual, and they're sort of doing everything their way. There's no real proper system, there's no contingency plan in place. Nobody else will know how to do the job that person who's normally the principal of such an NGO, nobody else knows how to do that. So it's necessary for you to extract that information, and if there's nothing like that in place, to make it part of the project, to implement such a process. And then lastly, just to go back to the top half of the square again, refers to the management and the leadership perspective. There you need to look at how competent are managers in that organization. Is it a one-man show? Does the person have a team? What are the qualifications of that team? Is it people that have a good heart? Yes, but they require or lack certain skills and qualifications to do the job properly. What is it that you need to focus on there? So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell. Together, it states there, these factors determine the way in which the organization currently operates. And by looking at each of these elements and the information gathered in your research, you will be able to see what is working and align and what is not, and align that and what is not and needs attention. I trust that this will help you. Thank you very much and good luck.